Hello, everyone. Today, I will introduce the major diseases of pear trees of the Rosaceae. First of all, let's learn about a common disease of pear, rust, which is also known as Alternaria alternata. The disease mainly infects fruit trees of Malloidea, such as papayas, hawthorns, birch-leaf pears, apple, and japonicas. It occurs in pear orchards in both southern and northern China. In spring, it mainly infects tender leaves, as well as young fruits and young sprouts. When there are many spots, it will cause defoliation and fruit drop, and photosynthesis will be blocked, which reduces the quality and yield of fruits. If these tree species are used for greening, the diseased leaves and fruits will be devastated, which will seriously degrade the landscaping. In fact, the disease will transfer and infect cypresses in summer, so it is also known as pear cypress rust. This phenomenon is called heteroacism, with Malloideae, such as pears, as the primary host, and juniper, cypress, and Chinese juniper as the intermediate or alternate hosts. If cypress is planted near the orchard, rust is likely to occur. The disease alternates between these two types of hosts that are distantly related because the complex life history of the pathogen. Then, let's first learn about the pathogenic bacteria of pear rust and their history of life. Its pathogen is Gymnosporangium harryanum, which belongs to the Basidiomycotina and Puccinia. There is a kind of spore called teleospore, which is microscopically characterized by two cells, yellowish-brown, colorless, and long stalks, which will gelatinize when exposed to water. Teleospores will germinate to produce Basidiospora. In the life history of Gymnosporangium harryanum sid, 4 spore types are produced in turn: Spermatium, Esiospore, Teleospores, and Basidiospora. Among them, such as the primary host pear in spring early summer, Spermatium and Esiospore are produced on plants, the intermediate host in early spring, while Teleospores and Basidiospora are produced on cypress. Let's learn the symptoms of rust on pear trees. In early and mid-March, several orange spots appear on the front of tender leaves, which gradually expand into round or nearly round spots. The middle part changes from orange-red to brown, and the edge changes from yellow to white orange-red circles, so it is also known as Alternaria alternata. Black and tiny spots are produced densely in the middle of the spots, which is the structure of the first spore produced by Gymnosporangium harryanum sid, or Pycinium. The spermatium inside has no infection effect. As the disease progresses, from late March to April, the spots are sunken, thickened, and bulge to the back of the leaves, and then clusters of grayish-yellow whiskers, commonly known as goat beards, which grow from short to long, known as ascidium. Brown powder may be shaken out of the ascidium, that is to say, the second spore of Gymnosporangium harryanum sid, Asiospore. This spore does not infect pear trees, but transfers to cypresses for infection and overwintering. This is a symptom on pear leaves. Young fruits and tender shoots can also be infected. In the early stage, the spots on young fruits are similar to those on leaves. The diseased parts are sunken, In the later stage, the spots become reddish yellow and grayish-brown whiskers are also produced. The diseased fruits are deformed and fall early. There are few spots and whiskers on the young sprouts in turn. And finally, the diseased parts turn black, cracked, and withered, but there is no obvious depression or bulge. Now, let's take a look at the symptoms of the intermediate host cypress after infection. In February and March of the following year, reddish-brown conical horns, that is to say, teleospore, can be seen on the scales, needles, or twigs of cypresses. After spring rain, the teleospore absorb water and expand into orange-yellow jelly-like colloidal blocks. We talked about the life history of gymnos, sporangium, harryanthem seed, and changes in disease symptoms earlier. Based on these clues, can you draw the infection cycle diagram of pear cypress rust? Okay, let's look at this schematic diagram to understand the law of the disease outbreak. The pathogen of pear rust overwinters as mycelium on cypresses. In February and March of the following year, teleospores are formed and then germinate to produce basidiospora, which are transmitted by airflow and go through infect tender leaves of pear trees. After 6-10 days of an incubation period, it causes rust and successively produces spermatium and asiospore. This disease course occurs from early March to early May, and asiospore is then transmitted by airflow and infects cypresses. It overwinters as mycelium. Whether pear rust occurs or is severe depends on the following main conditions. 1. Within 3 to 5 kilometers around the pear orchard of the intermediate host, there is an effective distance for the transmission of rust and basidiosporas. If there are cypresses, the probability of rust will increase or become severe. 2. Climatic conditions. It is rainy and warm in spring. The weather featuring sunny days with rainy hours may cause a large number of diseases. According to the investigation, within 1 month after pear germination, as long as there is one rainfall lasting for more than 2 days, with precipitation exceeding 15 millimeters and the relative humidity over 90%, it may occur seriously. 3. In the host susceptibility period, the chance of infection is great within 25 days after the pear leaves are expanded. After 25 days, the leaves will generally not be infected with the disease. We will get to know the occurrence conditions and infection cycle of pear rust is of great guiding significance for formulating prevention and control measures for the disease. Let's summarize the key points of prevention and control. 1. Remove the intermediate host. The disease only involves the primary infection, and the disease should be eliminated in production. Cypress, the intermediate host, must be planted within 3 to 5 kilometers around the pear orchard. 2. Control the rust of both types of hosts. For sites where the cypress cannot be removed, the rust fungi should be prevented on the pear tree, while the teleospore germination on the cypress should be controlled in spring, or the fungus-carrying branches should be cut off before the arrival of rain. 3. Select the best time for chemical control. To spray chemicals within 25 days from pear germination to leaf expansion stage, while chemicals should be sprayed onto cypress trees slightly earlier than pear trees. After the first spring rain during pear germination stage. 4. Fruit bagging should be done within 40 to 50 days after blossoming. In this lesson, we have learned about pear rust. Now let's summarize the relevant knowledge and requirements. 1. Be able to diagnose pear rust according to symptoms and pay attention to the distinction from plum red spot. 2. Get familiar with the infection cycle of pear rust. 3. Be able to work out feasible prevention and control measures according to the characteristics of the infection cycle. That's all for this lesson. Thank you very much. See you next time.